What Serbia is doing with gold right now could embolden other nations to do the same, especially Germany. I'll explain what I mean in this video as we explore. Gold nears an all-time high in terms of its price. It is now being focused on more and more by central banks around the world, mainly since 2022, when we've seen the most gold move into the vaults of central banks since 1967. And right now, there appears to be another strategy, another shift. And we've talked about that with Germany before. But that's just that they want to take some of their gold and repatriate it. But Serbia wants to repatriate all of its gold reserves. Yes, indeed. Bloomberg is reporting that with a headline. But we're going to look at another reason as to why this is happening. And for this story, we're going to be quoting here from discoveryalert.com. But before we get there, I want to remind you, channel sponsor Summit Metals. SummitMetals.com is a place to go. Next time you are looking for gold and silver to buy, to check out their selection and their customer service. So check out SummitMetals.com. I'm going to have a promo code down below that is effective until the 31st of July. 31st of July will be the last day that you can enter that code in for savings, big savings there. So what's going on here? Serbia repatriating its gold reserves. Why are they doing this? Well, they have made a landmark decision to repatriate all of its gold reserves back to domestic soil, becoming the first Eastern European nation to completely withdraw its bullion from traditional international storage hubs. This strategic move, which is initiated first in 2021, reflects a growing trend among nations seeking greater control over their precious metal assets. Yes, indeed. And you talk about bringing gold to domestic soil and bringing it more to you, to their vaults. Well, you can do that as well, and I am doing that. In fact, I'm adding another ounce of gold to my reserves, and I'm going to show you that towards the end of this video, so don't miss it. Stay tuned for that. It will complete a series for me as a collector of gold as well, so stay tuned for that. I think you're going to like the look of this gold piece I'm going to show you. Now, the National Bank of Serbia stated clearly that this decision was driven by strategic considerations. By returning gold to the country, the National Bank of Serbia sought to increase the availability and security of gold reserves in periods of crisis and uncertainty. Indeed, and a lot of these nations, too, they really bolstered up their defenses and their security. With technology nowadays, it is a little bit better and easier to make that happen. So I think that felt confident in making that shift. Now, Serbia's repatriation initiative marks a significant departure from conventional central bank practices. Traditionally, many nations have stored substantial portions of their gold reserves in international financial centers like London, New York, and Switzerland. However, Serbia's move signals a fundamental shift in thinking about national wealth security. Indeed, it sure does. And Germany, as I've reported on this channel before, has been under discussions, and some of the members of parliament have raised concerns, and they want to repatriate some of their gold, not only from London, but also the United States. So this began in 2021. And there's a global uncertainty that's increasing nowadays. The timing is significant as it coincides with growing global geopolitical tensions and economic volatility that have prompted many nations to reconsider their reserves management strategies. So they very well could start a trend here of just taking it all out of the international known vaults like in London and Switzerland. So what is their repatriation by the numbers? Their gold holdings are substantial for a nation of its size. They have a total gold reserve of 50.5 tons, which is worth approximately $6 billion at current prices. And that's a fair amount of gold for their size, for sure, and gold is the ultimate backstop. In fact, the Dutch central bank, I think, says it best. The Dutch central bank says that gold is an anchor of trust And indeed it is. And we know that that is something that is quite popular for central banks to do, knowing they've got that tier one asset, which is central bank of central bankers. The Bank of International Settlements regarded it as such back in April of 2019. Some of the Basel III rules have recently come into play on July 1st, but really doesn't change a whole lot because gold still remains very liquid, and it is money between central banks, which active money between central banks, which I think is another factor to consider here when having gold. It's a highly liquid asset for sure. Holding it and seeing its price performance over the past couple of years has been pretty remarkable. Now, they've already repatriated since 2021 45.5 tons that are stored in Belgrade. And so the vast majority have been stored there. So 5 tons are currently stored in Switzerland. That was purchased in 2024. So those are what remain to be repatriated. Now there's been 17 tons that have been purchased of gold since 2019. And that's been purchased abroad. Domestic gold acquisition, we've seen at least 19 tons from Zijin Mining Group's Serbian operations. And so there is some mining of gold that's happening in the nation of Serbia. Now this accumulation represents a significant investment in precious metals, with Serbia actively building its reserves through both international purchases and domestic mining production. So that's good to know. Serbia is a nation that certainly will set itself up to be resilient through tough economic times, and so we'll see how that plays out. And this accumulation represents this significant investment in these precious metals. Now, what has motivated Serbia's decision to bring its gold home is several interconnected factors, including global financial uncertainty and geopolitical gold forecasting at the forefront. In other words, many of us saw, especially in an era of de-dollarization, because remember, many of these nations also hold the dollar as part of their reserves, and seeing what's happening with the dollar, even though its rate of inflation is less than other nations around the world, the fact that we're the dominant country in the world with the top reserve currency is still losing value by design, as well as a little bit out of control, is a problem. And Serbia sees that, also the weaponization of the dollar, and that has had an impact on their thinking about taking more gold in, because gold is a great equalizer among nations in terms of wealth and value, and that great equalizer really is something that history tells us as a guide, the historic value, which is based off the intrinsic properties of the metal, and that gives it, I believe, intrinsic value. And so this is something that is fascinating to see, and a lot of what these central banks are doing and the reasons why they're doing it are the same exact reasons why you and I hold gold, to protect ourselves against the ever-inflating dollar. And even though the dollar is a store of value, it's a bleeding store of value. It's losing value. That loss of value is inflation, folks, and it's by design. Whereas gold maintains its value. When averaged out, gold does maintain its value. Right now, we're in a period where it's outperforming many stock indices. And so there is that with regards to gold, which is quite intriguing and impressive. So according to the National Bank of Serbia, storing gold bars domestically shields them from foreign interference. This statement reflects a growing sentiment among central banks worldwide that physical possession provides a level of security that cannot be guaranteed through foreign custody arrangements. I agree with that. Now, the Russian factor is also playing a big role here, and that's part and parcel to the geopolitical tensions. The freezing of Russia's foreign exchange reserves in 2022 served as a watershed moment for many central banks worldwide. This unprecedented financial action had far-reaching implications. Global central bank gold accumulation doubled after Russia's reserves were frozen. The incident highlighted the political risk associated with holding dollar and euro-denominated assets abroad. Domestically stored gold remains protection from foreign interference and sanctions. Physical gold provides a hedge against currency devaluation and financial system instability. That's exactly right. The Russia situation demonstrated that even massive reserves could be effectively neutralized through coordinated international action. This reality has prompted many central banks, including Serbia, to reevaluate their vulnerability to similar measures. So yes, indeed. Now, when we see what's going on here, how does Serbia compare to other European nations in their approach to repatriate? Well, let's take a look at the numbers. Serbia wants to repatriate 100%, and they've got 5 more tons to go to reach that goal. They're the first Eastern European nation to commit to full repatriation. Hungary, their goal is 86% of what they've done. Significant increases in domestic storage since 2018. Poland, around a quarter of their 100 tons from the Bank of England. They've repatriated 100 tons from the Bank of England in 2019. It's about 25%. Germany has partial, with 674 tons repatriated from the U.S. and France. Netherlands have partial, with secretly moved 122.5 tons from New York back in 2014. And some of that has also been widely publicized from within the country of how it's been moved as well, too. And the Netherlands, the Dutch Central Bank, the anchor of trust. So there it is. And we know the traditional gold storage hubs are the Bank of England. They hold approximately $550 billion worth of gold for various countries. The Federal Reserve of New York stores gold for numerous nations, including Germany and the Netherlands. The Swiss National Bank, which is a repository for international gold reserves, and the Bank of France, which is another major storage location for European central bank gold. So these institutions have developed specialized infrastructure and security protocols, and that is something for sure that we see what's happening. Now, I'm going to show you the piece of gold that I got just recently. This closes out, at least from what I understand. There is still some question as to whether or not there will be another 1 ounce gold coin representing another animal for the Spanish Royal Mint in 2026. By hoping this is it, though. The Spanish bear, the brown bear, this is. Beautiful coin indeed. 37 millimeters in diameter. Exquisite craftsmanship and detail. These things are absolutely amazing. And this is spearheaded by the Kagan's coins, and Don Kagan himself and his son Adam were integral in this. But this has the lenticular, the shifting, with 4 different designs. You can see as I shift through some of those, you can see the design shift and change there. But just adding this to the collection, really, but as well as another ounce of gold to the stack. So there it is. Let me know what your thoughts are about this coin, and also about what Serbia is doing with its gold. And with that, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.